Hey, Cody.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. I am excited to be here as always and ready to kick off another week. I know last week we talked about social media and posting every day. How did you do?
Didn't post every day. Did post normal. I made some TikToks that I'm going to post, so I'm excited about that.
I saw some of the TikToks. They were really funny and really good, and I loved them.
Took some Friday night creativity with my sisters and I. How was your posting extraordinaire?
It was good. I actually did it between every social media account I have, like Facebook or Instagram. I posted at least one thing every single day.
I'm so proud of you.
I know I was very proud of myself. I haven't yet today, but it's
How does
early. So
how does it feel when you do that?
I got a lot more engagement. Like I got a lot more people replying to my stories or like messaging me about things, and it was good. I liked it. I feel like every day is a lot because at certain days I was like, oh, I don't really have anything to post. I just made something up.
Yeah.
So every day is definitely a lot, but I feel like I got in the habit of posting more frequently,
Yes.
which
Which
is good.
definitely pays off, and it's a way for people to get to know you, right? Like I was thinking this literally this morning. I'm like, okay, say I want something done. Like I had a girl message me about the Dog's Paw, which is across the road from us. They do an online. It's called Training Dogs Online, and she's like, hey, I saw you post somewhere in a Norwich group. What was it called? And I'm like, right, like that is how people like they see like they want those referrals, I guess. Like we want to work with people that other people work with that they trust. And also that being said, it's like when I want to get my nails done, or I don't know, what's a good thing? We'll go with that one. I see who's like whoever's posting the most is who I'm like, oh, I'll go see them for that.
Exactly. And
They're
it's also good for you too, because like that person remembered your name, trusted your name, um,
yes,
to get
yes.
your referral,
I
which is
haven't gotten
amazing.
Norwich reputation yet, which is a bonus.
Pardon me.
I said yes. I haven't ruined my Norwich reputation.
I mean, I think I have just by being born with my last name, but
Oh,
that's
here we.
something we can talk about on a different day.
You can have my last name if you want.
There we go. We'll get married. It's like a green card type situation.
Yes. I love it.
I
So
love it.
today, episode 19, we're going to be talking about spirituality, which I'm very excited about because this became a very big part of my entrepreneurship turned personal development turned kind of having a faith during the process of it all and still continuing to have a faith. So I'm super excited to talk about that today.
Me too. I'm very excited. And I'm very excited to kind of like get your intake and kind of get like what you think about it and kind of open up about, because I feel like a lot of people see you and I, or you especially, post on Facebook about like, or post on social media about like spirituality and stuff, but like they don't really understand it. And you just kind of like, what is that? Like, but
Right. And I think because like I really wanted like when I started out, I watched a movie called The Secret on Netflix, and it's all about like the law of attraction and what you think. Um, if you can think it, it can happen. Like it can come into the physical world. So it was a bit high level for me, but it did really force me to change the way I was thinking. And if you keep focusing on the negative things, the negative grows larger. If you focus on the positive, you see more positive. It's like if I told you, if we sat out front of my house and I said, let's count cars. And I said, okay, how many of those were red? We wouldn't know. We were just counting cars. But if we were just focused on counting red cars or we went for a drive, you're going to pick out more of those red cars. So in our lives, if we're focused on the negative things, we're picking out the negative things and we're almost searching for them. Where if we're focusing on those positive things, those red cars, then we're attracting more and we're seeing more because that's what we're looking for.
right. And it's just like when you buy a new car. I'm really excited about this car analogy. It's just like when you buy a new car, you suddenly notice every single person driving that car, where before you never saw that car. But
That is exactly that is a perfect spin on that because that's so true. So that's where I think it's been a really cool part to it all. And I think whether if you're self-employed or you're starting a business, sometimes feeling like you're on the right path can be a little bit shaky, and also feeling that like you're meant to be here can be questionable because you're like, am I meant to be a realtor? You know, was this what I'm supposed to do in my life? And a line that I always come back to is if I'm having those days, it's like you're where you're supposed to be right now. And sometimes it takes a day to just step back from the career and be like, okay, I'm just gonna focus on other things today. but it's trusting the process. And also, like, I never thought I would be this person or be this, I guess, career. I was never like, I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna put together kick-ass financial plans for really cool people. I don't know. I think I wanted to own a bar at one point. Like, but the journey has brought me to be able to still work with people, still have fun with people, and just make a different impact in their lives.
Right. And I think it ties into religion very well as well, because I feel like a lot of people, I'm just going to spit a bunch of things that I think that I don't really know if they're true or not. Um, but I feel like a lot of people who are heavily involved in in a
Mhm.
religious community do so because it's kind of scary to not have something to like not believe in a purpose or not believe in someone
Yeah.
or destiny or whatever you may believe in. If you're strictly looking at science and we're just floating on a rock
Mhm.
and we're tiny compared to the rest of the galaxy, it's a terrifying thought, and you're like, well, okay.
Yes. But it's also cool that there's stuff that science can't explain, right?
100%.
But you're so right, and I guess we should have like prefaced this conversation by saying it doesn't matter what you believe in, whether you believe in God or Buddha or the universe or karma or science. Like, there's a faith to be had, and you're right. I think that you can and choose like faith over fear or fear over faith, and which one, again, whether it's positive or negative, like it's whichever one you choose, that's how you'll live. So if you, and it's hard, it's not easy, like don't get me wrong, there's days where I'm like, frig, is this like, I choose those fear choices, but it's being able to be like, to kind of stand up and say, okay, there's a reason for this. I maybe don't know what it is, but I'm gonna trust in the unknown.
Right. And I think that's a really great point too, because a lot of people, myself included, we don't really know what we believe in, or we
Yeah.
don't really follow an organized religion, or I don't really know if I believe in whatever it may be, karma or whatever it is. But I definitely think that there is something bigger
Yes.
than us and bigger than just, us as tiny little creatures on this in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Um, and it's okay to not know what you believe in, and it's okay to not know what you follow. And it's kind of a fun adventure figuring it out. And you
Yeah.
don't have to strictly follow, like, you don't have to strictly believe in God and everything that God encompasses, or you don't have to strictly
No.
believe in Buddha or whatever other things are out there. It's okay to not pick and choose, but, believe in what you believe in.
Yeah. And I think there was a saying that someone said to me, and it's like, if it's meant to be, then like let it be, and if it's not, then let it go. And like, so some things like that, maybe like there's like different quotes, I don't know, they're not called quotes, but like passages from the Bible. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that's really cool, that makes sense. Do I like pray to that God, and do I believe in the story of Jesus? Not fully. Like, I'm not fully in there, but I do enjoy like the morals that come from it. Does that make sense? And the stories, and I'm like, I do believe there's something out there. I don't know what it is. For like, there's so many theories, and there's so much that you can believe in, but I think just having a faith, and like you said, having fun with it, creating it, trying new things, like whether meditation is your thing, or journaling, or praying, like, and praying can come in different ways. Like, some people say like the prayer around their supper table at night, like thanking God, but sometimes it's just like, okay, let's say three things we're grateful for, and it's like talking about your family members, like thankful for the teachers and the school bus drivers, or for your friend that texts you that day, and kind of like, change your day or made your day.
Right. And I think for me personally, like, I don't pray, or I don't pray to anyone or anything.
Mhm.
But one thing, like, it's kind of like a mantra that I have in a mantra. How do you say that? Mantra,
Yeah, mantra, yeah.
mantra.
Praying
That
mantis.
word. Everything in my life so far has worked out.
Mhm.
Maybe not the way that I pictured it working out, or the way that, I thought it was going to
Yes.
work out. But I'm still here. I'm still
Yeah.
successful, I say in quotes. I'm still, doing my life, living it. So everything has worked out, and I think it's important for me to keep that in mind. So when things are going bad, or things aren't working the way that I want,
Yeah.
or I feel like in one of those lows, or one of those days where nothing matters, we're just a tiny little speck. um, it's very important for me to just repeat in my head, everything's worked out, everything's going to work out. So for
Yeah.
me, that is kind of my, not
I
religion, but
like that.
that's what I believe.
Yeah. But that helps. Yeah, but that's like your anchor that keeps you like, bring it back in, because I think we've all had those situations where we've thought this is how it's going to turn out and this is perfect. Yep, yep, yep. And then the train derails and we feel like, holy, like it's literally off the tracks. But what we didn't see was that there was a track that went this way that was way better for us, or like there was a different plan in mind. And typically it's better and it all works out in the end. Like sometimes I get stressed about small details, like Travis wasn't going to be off next Easter Monday and we have Grant. Like, I don't know. I was stressy about it. And he texted me today. He's like, yep, like I'm off next Monday. I was able to get it off. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I wasted, not wasted, but I exerted some energy yesterday that was unnecessary at the end of the day. It's like just to have that trust. And there was another one. It's like the faith over fear. And it's like, this one's more like biblical, but it's like worship over worry. And it's kind of like doing your best to turn your worries to like that deep breath, that like that mantra that you use, saying like it's okay, it's going to work out, and I'm going to do my best. And that's another part too. I actually did that the other week. I was frustrated with the situation and I was like kind of taking it out on one person, like, but just in my own head naturally. And
Yeah.
I was like, you need to just take a step back and assume that everyone, including that person, is doing their best that they knew how to do in that situation. And that helped me change my perspective to being like, okay, what can I do and what can I control? And I like, you can't control people's reactions or actions or how they contribute. So it's like, okay, how can I take this and make it like a positive thing? Anyways,
Right. And I think that's super important to remember. You touched on a couple points that I really, really like there. One being like not wasting time, but exerting energy. Like
yes,
anxiety is such, I think, it's such a prominent part of most people. I don't want to say most, but a good portion of people's everyday life these
yeah.
days.
It's like a lifestyle aspect that comes in far more than we want it to.
Right. And I get angry with myself when I get anxious about things that I know that I don't need to be anxious about, or that, I'm just wasting my time being anxious about. And I think that's where, organized religion and a lot of spiritualness comes into play into people's lives.
Mhm.
I think that's why people are able to fight that anxiety, or able to calm themselves down.
Yeah,
Because like I said, for my mantra, everything has worked out, everything will work out. But everyone has that little thing that, that keeps them calm. So that was one thing I really liked
yeah.
that you said. And then I can't remember the other one because I got so
Okay,
into my
you can
point
listen back
there.
through, write it down. We'll talk about it next week. Um,
Exactly.
no, but I think, and I've almost had, like I went to church growing up, but it was like forced by my parents, which is fine. But it didn't like, there was some good Bible stories, but it wasn't, like I didn't fall in love with anyone at that point, like any higher being. But I do not envy, but I am always intrigued by someone who has a faith that is like super strong,
Like
like super
unbreakable.
super dedicated.
Yeah.
Yes, and I don't mean in a sense that it's like life controlling, but in a sense where like they just have that air about them where it's just like they believe that things will work out how they're meant to work out. It's not a negative. It's not anything to do with like discrimination or anything like that. It's just like they just have that connection, and I think that comes with having some sort of like spiritual practice, whether it's like some people are really into crystals or yoga or meditation or journaling, and just having some way to get like tune out and like really turn off everything else that's happening in the world, and just get quiet and sit with yourself. Because I think there is an intuition. Some people like say, like I've heard it's like it's the divine within us, it's like the God within us. Like there's a piece of us that is a compass and it has the answers. And I think so often we go out and look for them from other people. But like about the things in life that kind of guide us, there's that compass inside. It just takes, it's been years and years of people like environment like layering on that little voice, so we don't listen to it anymore. We never knew, like we might hear like little parts of it sometimes, but it's really taking the time to just like decondition ourselves from being like it's okay to make a choice that's better, like best for me. And I know best. I just have to trust that that's, it's trusting ourselves too, which is super freaky.
Right. And not to take away from your point, but were you just saying compass?
Compass, yeah.
Compass?
Compass, like north, east, south, and west, like an internal guide.
Yeah, it's a compass. I don't think it's a compass.
Aren't you saying it the same way? Compass?
Compass.
Compass. Yeah, compass.
Okay, we're not saying it the same way, but that's okay.
It's probably from something in my childhood that has. Okay. Not fast.
Anyways, back to the point. I'm almost envious of people who are so um
Connect.
unbreakable, yeah, and so connected
Mhm.
with themselves, because they don't have those worries about, I say to myself everything will work out, but there's also that big voice in my head that's like, nope, that's
Yeah.
not gonna work out.
Whoa, buddy, let's get real. But it's like, no, like I want to give that little voice more time. Like I've talked to people and they're like, I built my business solely on intuition. Does this feel right? Does this, if I'm having a trouble, I sit with myself, I go for a walk in nature. I'm like, I dig that.
Yeah, I like that too, but for me, I don't know if it's realistic, because I feel like I have too many voices in my head, and I know that's just me, what's the word, self-doubting or sabotaging myself,
Yeah.
because I give a little bit too much energy and a little bit too much attention to that anxiety or those voices that say no. Um, but yes, I would definitely at some point in my life, and that's definitely a goal I want to work towards, is trusting myself, trusting my intuition.
Yes.
That being said, organized religion is something that I have not been opposed to, but it definitely comes with its issues, and I don't want
Yeah.
it to seem like we're
Yeah.
painting spirituality and religion as this great thing, because there are definitely people who are so unbreakable and so committed to their cause that it is a fault.
I think it's
Um,
like anything that in excess it can be toxic, right? Whether it be like even things that are good for us, exercise that can turn negative on our bodies, right? Like sleep that can, so, and not to mention like alcohol and other things, donuts, but anything in excess can be a negative. And I think we see those people where they, but for them that's okay. But you're right, it can turn into a bit of a toxic relationship.
yes, and it's almost taking over their life, because I think there's a difference between letting it lead your life, or letting you following your intuition, and
Yes.
letting it control your life.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
A saying I heard today was, "Are you the dog wagging the tail, or is the dog wagging you?" So, do you get it?
No.
Okay, so
How
if,
does a dog wag you?
if you have like something guiding you, you're the dog, but spirituality is like with you, and you're wagging it, like you're in control of that. But if you are so into it that you do everything like and it governs your life, you're just the tail being wagged around.
Oh, you're the tail.
Yeah,
Got it.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
probably
think I get it now, but I'm not 100% sure.
it took. I think yeah, that's okay. We can think of something better later.
We'll just edit that out, cross that out, add a different analogy in.
That was good. Like you're right. There is, and we're not saying like you have to have it, but what I did hear or read one time, and I can't verify it. I could probably Google it, but when you go into rehab or any sort of kind of program, they like you to have some sort of faith. And I think that makes sense. Like and I think we've all had those dark times in our lives where you're like, why am I even here? Like what is going on? And you're questioning a lot. To have some sort of faith helps you to dig out of that hole. And I'm not saying you're going from, level 0 to level 100, but even if it helps you get to level 1, and it just helps you to feel a little bit better, like, okay, life is kind of tough right now, but I know at some point it's going to make sense. And what am I learning right now? I always kind of try to pivot it to that. Like, what's the lesson here? And it's not in like a bad way. Like you needed to learn this lesson. It's just like, oh, I was meant to understand more about this, or to
Right.
feel these emotions so I could, when someone else is going through this down the road, I can kind of share with them how I handled it.
Right. And I agree with you. And I think everyone has some sort of faith. And I think the word faith has kind of lost its true meaning in today's
Yeah.
society. Does that
Hmm.
make sense? Because I
Yeah.
think when I think of the word faith, I think of God, and I think of
Yes.
Christianity and religion. But that's not the only definition of it. And I think it's important, for everyone to kind of get in touch with what they believe is their faith.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's a belief and it's a trust in yourself and in, for some people, something else. Right.
Right, exactly. Everyone has their own path in life, and everyone has their own brain, and their own beliefs, and their own morals and values and whatever. And same thing with faith. It's just another thing that everyone is unique, and I think people have kind of shied away from getting in touch with their faith and getting in touch with themselves, because
it's so unknown. It's
It's so
easier to
unknown.
just be like, that's not real, and I'm not going to even try because it is messy. It's not like there's a manual or a life guide that's like, believe in this and in times of this. And I mean, for some people, it is the Bible, and that's what they turn to. But for those who are kind of just experimenting and curious to develop a faith, there is like, I haven't come across the book that lays it all out, but I think that's part of the journey is that you're listening to podcasts or conversations or TED Talks or reading a book. You're like, oh, okay. Like you pick up little pieces along the way to build your own puzzle.
Right. And I also think that there's definitely people out there who are trying to push their faith on those who are kind of curious and trying to
Yes.
figure that out, which I don't agree with at all.
No, I
Um,
think that unsolicited advice is super dangerous to give in any situation.
100%. So
Yeah.
I think it's definitely messy and it's definitely a tricky thing. And I think it's kind of we as society, and we talk about the society a lot on this podcast, but I think we as society have kind of strived away from what true faith is, and we've kind of put a negative light on it. Um,
Yeah, and I think people can be like because we don't know. Like I don't know what I fully believe in, and I don't know what I fully like. If I say I believe and I have a faith, and we're almost like I'm almost out of fear of getting like attacked for not having like a strong enough one. It's like I guess it's like if you pictured it as like a painting that you're not finished and it'll never be finished, but someone wants to see it, and you're like, no, because you like you're almost afraid to be criticized or to be swayed one way, and you're like, no, like I'm good, just getting messy on my own, so to speak, and creating what feels best for me.
right. And I would also be afraid to be put in like a metaphorical box. Because if I
Yes.
was to say, not that I am, but if I was to say that I was Christian or whatever it may be, I wouldn't want everyone thinking, okay, well, the Christian beliefs that everyone thinks are Christian beliefs and like everyone holds. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want everyone to associate those with me. Because I think faith is a very, like I said, a very individual thing.
Mhm.
And it's definitely okay for you to pick and choose what you believe in. It really is trusting yourself, your intuition, and your gut,
Yeah.
and figuring out what you think is the case. What's the tea?
Right. And yes, and I think you're very right with we have that fear of people stereotyping it. And I
Stereotyping, that's the word.
yeah, and I think what's cool though is that there is so much like so much knowledge, like we've never had this much access to this much knowledge and information, that it is cool to kind of start, and it can really be like we said, it's like a what's the word, like a black hole when you get onto the internet, but it is
Yeah.
it's cool, and I think it's cool to do the research on your own time, and it's nice when you can find people that you can talk to without again being like having it shoved down your throat. Like you can just be like, so like what do you believe in? And it's all about approaching it the right way. And it's cool when you can find those people that are like, well, this is what I believe in, and they share without force.
Exactly. 10 out of 10. Love that. I think that's kind of a struggle for people who are like younger people, like our generation and younger. But I
Yeah.
think that this is a very important age for us to be kind of figuring out what we believe in and what we kind of
Hmm.
want with our lives and where we think it'll go. And I think it's a very important step to talk to those around us and talk to other people and see what they've kind of figured out for themselves and what they
Yes.
believe in. But right now, we're not talking to as many people. We're getting that chance to connect
Hmm.
with those around us. So I think it's kind of something that myself is struggling with. And I think a lot of people probably are struggling with it right now.
Yeah, and it is so like I think I watched that movie when I was 19, so I'm 24 now. So it's been 5 years of just kind of like playing with it, but it can be really like lonely too, because you're like, who can I talk to about this? And are they gonna think I'm really weird? And I don't even know really what I want to talk about. But then you do find those people that are like, and like a little door opens, like the door opens a little bit and your door opens a little bit. And then like by the end of the conversation, they're flung open. You're like, oh my gosh, like I love talking about this stuff. And it's like it's cool. And I think like sometimes if I'm just curious about a topic, I'll go like intuition TED talk, and there's so much about it. Or like one I was watching last week was intuitive eating, and I'm like, cool. Like it's just there's resources for us, and I think part of that too is like just don't be afraid to be who you are. Don't force who you are in other people, but like explore what's inside. You're your own
Exactly.
best friend. You have to be
Yeah,
with each other
make your own
forever.
painting, or whatever you were saying. I really like that analogy, and how you said your painting will never be finished, because that's so true. And I think it's important to remember that you don't have to figure out what your complete faith is or what you believe in. Like
Yes.
it's not a race to figure it out, and you may never, or you probably likely will never figure out exactly what you believe in, what you think,
Mhm.
and figure everything out. That's not the point of life. Though I don't think the point of life is to have
No,
all the
just be like,
answers, but
okay,
yeah,
problem
exactly.
solved. Yeah.
Exactly. There is no book that's going to tell you what's the truth.
No.
Um, and there's no book that's going to tell you, or nobody who's going to tell you what you need to believe in.
Mhm.
And that's part of the adventure. That's part of what life is figuring it out. And
Yeah.
I think we focus a little too much. And when I say we, I think I'm talking about me for sure. I think I focus too much on getting the answers and less on
Yes, the
the
process.
process. Yes, that's
Yes.
what I'm.
Yeah, it's like I think I don't know if I've used this with you before. It's like if we were to go on a road trip to Florida, it's 24 hours. If we were miserable the whole time on our way to Disneyland and we just expect to be like, okay, we're here, it's time to be happy, but it's like enjoy the journey and enjoy the unknown as best as you can. Like befriend that uncertainty within you and be like, okay, I don't really know, but I'm gonna sit with you and we're gonna see where this goes. And that's all part of it. I don't think that we'll reach a point because I think when I first started looking into this, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna have it like under control and like I'll have it like I don't know, like a plan or a system or something in place that'll just be like that's my thing. And it ended up being so much bigger than that I was overwhelmed by it for a little bit. But then it was cool because I'm like, oh yeah, like joke's on you, girl. This is something that you practice for life and you grow and you relearn because like there were things that were said to me when I was 19 that are now said to me again. I'm like, oh, that's good. But at the time it wasn't landing. I wasn't ready for it.
Right. And I think that also
Trials
woo,
lights to my compliments.
translates well into life, because we focus a lot on getting there, getting the job, getting
Yeah,
married, or whatever it
ticking the
is.
boxes.
Yeah, checking the boxes. That's right. And less on the process. And then suddenly, I'm 24. My life is getting there. It's not getting there. I'm not on my way out, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Um, and I focused a lot on the teen in my teenage years and early 20s, um, about getting there, and getting buying a house, getting a
right.
dream
And
job.
like, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. And it's like, whoa, gotta
Right.
be.
And looking back, like my favorite memories aren't me doing the work or putting in like grinding or whatever you want to call it. It's
Yeah.
the times that I enjoyed my life, the times that
Yeah.
like that trip to PEI that we all took, still one of my favorite memories. Like such a good time.
Yeah. That was good. That was so good. And I think like a funny spin on that is like I can remember driving home and being like so high on life. And then we got pulled over and I got a speeding ticket. And for a little bit after, it totally tainted the trip for me. But I think that's again like a cool analogy to use. It's like don't let that speeding ticket taint the whole trip. Like it was magic up until that speeding ticket. That speeding ticket was there to tell me to slow down and enjoy life and be a safe driver.
Yeah, 100%. And like looking back now, I think, the mood kind of definitely went downhill after we got pulled over.
Whole energy in the truck was just like, ooh.
But like the drive there and the drive home were like some of the funnest parts of that trip. And
Yes.
like I would give anything to go back after the speeding ticket and the last like whatever 4 hours it was.
Make light of it.
Yeah, right. And just have fun for the rest of the time, because like
And
those
and
memories.
and again, trust in the unknown because that was a ticket that if I had paid it and not fought it, I would have had my license suspended for I forget the time, but I had a paralegal. The paralegal was amazing. Her name was Stella, and she rocked it and got my ticket down to not nothing, but just enough of a lesson that I didn't have to have my license suspended. So had I had those like future goggles on, I would have been like, don't worry, guys, this all works out in the end, and it's all good. But I was like, oh shit, crap. So again, part of those were don't like we don't have a crystal ball, but trust that whatever's in that crystal ball is in your best interest.
Right. And just remember, like you're still here. Things are working out,
Yeah.
and things are going to continue to work out.
Yeah, and you have a reason to be here. You're awesome. You're amazing. You and our listeners are amazing beings, and stay in your own lane. I think that's part of it too. Like just because you see someone over here, your sibling, your best friend is rocking it at what they're doing, doesn't mean like you're not supposed to rock it at what they're doing because you're not them. Like stay in your own lane. Have fun with yourself. See what like brings you joy, and yeah, just enjoy where you are.
Right. And I think it's also important for me especially, and I'm sure you can relate to this a little bit, to again practice what we preach, because we talk about these things a lot, and then I'm if I'm driving to work later and I get a speeding ticket, I'm gonna like be mad in the moment.
Yeah.
But it is important to I'm saying all these things because I believe them, and I just now need to.
Yeah, right. It's like going to church, organized religion, as an example. If you're miserable and angry all week long and you're mean to other people, but you go to church on Sunday, like that doesn't forgive it all. Just because we have these beliefs, if we don't practice them, that doesn't like just like we can say words on end. It's just lip service. So to truly internalize those things that we say into feelings and into actions that we take in our lives, that's where the magic happens.
Nailed it. 10 out of 10. Finger guns. Love it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I feel really good about this episode. How do
I
you
feel really good about it too. I feel like I learned a little bit about myself, what I believe in, which is always nice.
Yes, always. And next week, are we going deeper into religion/spirituality?
Yes, we are. We're going to talk about this a little bit more. We're going to talk about,
I
think, pardon me?
I think we're having a guest too.
We are having a guest, as long as that guest still is good. But yeah, I think we're going to dig into a little bit more of what we believe in and stuff like that. And it'll be good. And I'm excited. And I'm excited to continue this conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure you tune in next week. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok, NewNet 2020. And have a great week. And
Stay
try
fit, have fun.
Try and just let life happen.
Yeah. And get quiet. Just get quiet. Be alone. Silence is super powerful. If you can just like literally put a 10-minute timer on your phone and just sit alone. I honestly like sometimes go into our closet or I'll sit like and I don't know. I'll just find a place that's as quiet as it can be. And it's cool to see what crosses your mind and just take some space.
Be alone with your thoughts.
Yeah, be alone with your thoughts. Okay.
All right, guys. Have a great week.
Love y'all.
Love you. Bye.